Welcome to another Patriots Redraftables. This time we'll take a look at the 2014 Patriots draft, arguably their worst in the Tom Brady era. Before we do that though, let's set the scene of where the team was in 2014. The 2013 team lost in the AFC title game for the second consecutive year, 26-16 to the Denver Broncos. They finished 12-4. Brady had a above average, but not his best year, with the 25-11 touchdown to interception ratio, just over 4,000 yards, and a pretty low completion percentage of 60%. This was Edelman's breakout year with Welker gone. Edelman had 105 catches for over 1,000 yards, arguably his best year until this past year. And they really started to see the injuries of Gronk pile up. He missed 9 games this year, which led to the team having to rely on Edelman, and then the running game as Stephen Ridley and LeGarrette Blount had over 750 yards and 7 touchdowns each. So a pretty impressive showing. Defensively, the team was led by Aqib Talib and Dante Hightower. And as you'd expect for a team that finished in the top 4 in the league, they finished 3rd in scoring and 10th in defense. So a very good team, but had not made a Super Bowl since 2007 at this point. Obviously, that changes after this draft in 2014, but going into the year, they're looking to see what they can do with Brady as he's 37, an aging team that hasn't been to a Super Bowl in a couple of years, and looking to make an impact moving forward. At the top end, this draft was a very talented draft. Guys such as Jadeveon Clowney, Khalil Mack, Aaron Donald, Zach Martin, C.J. Mosley, very talented players. Not a lot of top-end quarterback talent, as Derek Carr is the top quarterback from this draft. And the Patriots did not draft any top-end guys. This is one year where, no Chandler Jones, no Dante Hightower, no Devin McCourty, no Rob Gronkowski. Really a lot of misses here, which is the theme you'll see in this draft. Patriots had 9 draft picks in the end of this draft. A first-round pick, second-round pick, 3 fourth-round picks, 3 sixth-round picks, and then a seventh-round pick. The first round, to me, is the absolute worst of the Tom Brady era. Dominique Easley was an absolute bust. He came in with injury issues from Florida, ACL problems, and he was never able to recover from that. Jimmy Garoppolo, to me, now in 2020, you look back, and this is the beginning of the undoing of the Patriot days. Brady was 37 at this time, and we'll show in a later video, but instead of drafting guys to help support Brady and give him weapons on the side, they were drafting his replacements, and guys like Jimmy Garoppolo and Jacoby Brissett. We'll show you later who is pick 61 and 63 on the opposite side of Garoppolo, but not pretty. The fourth round to me was a good round. 3 guys that could play in the league, no bust there. Brian Stork unfortunately out due to injuries early, and then Cameron Fleming just never able to stick in New England, but he's been a solid NFL player. He's played still in the league, and then James White, the cream of the crop from this draft. Very talented running back. They've obviously found a way to use him, and then obviously the Falcons Super Bowl would not be possible without him. And then the 4 guys in the 6th and 7th round. Not great. No one really stood out and made the team well, but they at least picked a couple of guys that could make it in the NFL. Let's go to the first round pick, Dominique Easley. As I said, the absolute worst pick in the Tom Brady era. Ended up playing 41 games, 22 in England before moving on to the Rams. He had 3 sacks. He just, he was undersized, 6'2", 260, and was not quick enough to really make up for that. And the injuries obviously hurt him. What the Patriots could have done here is a lot of different things. Jimmy Ward, capable DB. Bradley Roby, capable DB. DeMarcus Lawrence is the cream of the crop, really, that they could have gotten. D-end, who's dominated down in Dallas. That would have been a nice guy to play alongside Chandler Jones at this point. Other guys such as Kyle Van Noy, struggled in Detroit and then came in, was very dominant. Marcus Joyner, they always could have used a DB. And if they wanted to wait a little bit longer as we move to the right side of the screen, 3 guys to me would have been probably perfect fits, and you would have think they would have taken in his place Stephon Tuitt, Trent Murphy, and Timmy Jernigan. All guys that played in the league, played well in the league, played at a high caliber, would have been much better picks than Dominique Easley. We'll talk about more with Garoppolo, but, obviously they didn't go with a top-end receiver at this point, and guys such as Devontae Adams and Allen Robinson maybe a little too far down the line, but clearly they've made it in the NFL and been high-caliber players. So who do you think Patriot fans would have rather had, a guy like Devontae Adams or a guy like Dominique Easley? As I said, if Dominique Easley is the worst pick in the Patriots in the Tom Brady era, Jimmy Garoppolo might be the second, just for what it all led to. As you know, it really undid the relationship between Brady, Belichick, and Kraft. Obviously, there's plenty of pieces about that article. And to me, to add insult to injury, you see who's picked around Garoppolo: Allen Robertson and Jarvis Landry, two guys that clearly could have helped Tom Brady the last 6 years. Would have been much more helpful than Jimmy Garoppolo. Tom Brady was 37, aging guy. Who would expect he'd still be playing at age 43? But that one hurts. Outside of those two, not a lot of guys that jump out at me that you would rather have over him, but clearly just it hurts to not be adding weapons at this point instead of adding backup quarterbacks. With that being said, here are the guys that could have helped. The two big ones, Jarvis Landry and Davante Adams, they were both available. After that, it kind of drops off pretty dramatically. John Brown maybe could have helped, guy who went to Arizona in the 3rd round, but not a lot of talent in this draft. Not a lot of misses, but obviously if you didn't take him, then you're not going to be able to hit on them. So those are the two that the Patriots would love to have back. The 4th round, they did find 3 guys that could play in the NFL. They were not busts. Stork, unfortunately, was forced out of the league due to injuries early on. Played 2 years in New England, 21 games, and did start in the Seattle Super Bowl, but was unfortunately forced to retire after a failed trade to the Redskins. Cameron Fleming, another capable lineman. We'll talk about the lineman a little bit later. 3 guys that they took 3 or 4 guys in this draft that were decent, but no top end guys, no starters like Joe Tooney, Shaq Mason that they got in years following. But James White, he's the cream of the crop of this draft, obviously. Had a great relationship with Brady. Josh McDaniels knew how to use him in his 6 years in New England. Just over 1,000 yards, just under 3,000 receiving yards on 320 catches, 32 career touchdowns, and then, as we all know, in the Atlanta Super Bowl, 14 receptions, 110 yards, and 3 total touchdowns, including the game winner. Patriots went out of one, obviously, without him. And this list below is from 2014 to 2019, both regular season and playoffs, receiving yards by running backs and James White. Obviously, this is as unbiased as you can be. With including the playoffs, he's played in by far the most, outside of Giovanni Bernard, probably. He's 5 less games. But James White's been dynamite. When they've put him in, he's been fantastic. 744 win percentage in his career, very impressive, and absolutely the right pick at pick 130 out of Wisconsin. With 3 picks in the 4th round, it's hard to, and 3 guys that were able to play in the league, it's hard to completely second guess, but obviously with 3 picks, you would have thought maybe they could have done a little bit better. I'll highlight a couple guys that jump out to me. Maybe Devontae Freeman, just moved on from Atlanta. They would have had to pay him a little bit, and would you rather have James White than Devontae Freeman? I'd probably take James White in this offense, especially with LeGarrette Blount being there. But, a talented rusher, was a Pro Bowler for 2 seasons. Could have been a more dynamic player. Russell Bodine at pick 111 to Cincinnati. It's been a 5-year starter. Probably over Stork. That would have been the better pick. But hindsight's 2020 on that one with the injuries. You don't know if Stork doesn't have the injuries. And then moving over to the right side, guys like Trey Boston or Telvin Smith are the 2 that really you'd like to have back. Telvin Smith is probably the best one to me in this group. He has made a Pro Bowl. Played in Jacksonville. Pretty good player. That would have been probably the better pick over Fleming. But again, hindsight's 2020. Don't know what they would have done with the Patriots and how they would have contributed to a defense that already had guys like Jamie Collins and Dante Hightower. We'll wrap up by looking at the end of the draft where the Patriots had 4 picks, including 3 in the 6th round. Not a lot of, no Julian Edelmans, I'll say, in the 6th and 7th round of this draft, but a couple guys that could have helped. They took an offensive lineman, DN, DB, receiver, so obviously they were spreading around. And this is the list of top guys for career value added per Pro Football Reference in the 6th and 7th round of the draft. Charles Leno, the tackle for the Bears. Zach Fulton, guard for Kansas City. I'm not going to try and pronounce the 3rd guy's name, but also a guard for Kansas City. Could have been helpful. Matt Paradise out of Denver. More helpful than Jalapio, who was the 16th or 15th most talented guy from the 6th and 7th round. So no Julian Edelmans in this group. Obviously, it's hard to always hit on guys like Edelman. It just doesn't happen. But here's where they could have done a little bit better with these late round picks. And then finally, we'll look at the offensive linemen as a whole. Clearly, the Patriots wanted to address this. They drafted 3 guys in the 2014 draft, and and didn't really solve it, which is why they had to go get guys like David Andrews, Shaq Mason, Trey Flowers, Trey Jackson in the following years. Here's a couple of guys, again, by Pro Football Reference's career value added, they could have gotten. The first 3 guys were out of their reach, all first-round picks in the top 16 picks, but Trey Turner, Morgan Moniz, Justin Britt, Corey Linsley, Charles Leno, all guys within their reach that they could have taken. Could have shored up picks there, which then would allow them to, in later drafts, maybe go for more skill positions instead of being very lineman heavy in 15 through really 18. So that's really the second guessing where it comes in. Looking back on this draft as a whole, it was a tough draft for the Patriots. They obviously go on to win the Super Bowl this year against the Seahawks and go on to have a fantastic run of the Seahawks, Falcons, Eagles, and Rams Super Bowls, but this draft class is not the reason for it. James White, very successful, but not a lot of talent from this draft. It's really the prior years that led to that success and why the cupboards have been a little bit dry, and Bill Belichick and company have been forced to explore other ways of adding talent to this roster. Thank you guys for joining us for this video. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like. If you really enjoyed it, please subscribe for future videos, and have a good one.